Welcome to today's episode of The Breach Room, where we sit down with some of the sharpest minds in the cybersecurity industry. This episode is powered by Outsourcing. At Outsourcing, we help cybersecurity firms break free from the outdated lead generation methods like networking events, conferences, and relying on referrals, which often feel more like wishful thinking than a real strategy. Our battle-tested, data-driven client acquisition approach brings you ideal clients with no chasing, no guesswork, just predictable compounding growth. If you're a cybersecurity firm and you're looking to scale your business and see results within the first week, us the word growth for a free consultation. And without further ado, let's get into it. So today we have a very special guest, someone that is not only a founder, but a CEO as well, and an expert in cybersecurity. Craig, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Thank you, Louise. Craig Taylor here. I've been in cybersecurity for 30 years, but I got my degree in psychology before that and realized at the time that I wasn't PhD material at the time. So I thought I have to get a job, and I had a love of computers. Again, this is before there was a World Wide Web as we know it today. I'm talking early computers. Yeah, a long, long time ago. It has proven to be an amazing career, this cybersecurity, because it wasn't outsourceable to foreign countries. It stayed here. There was lots of demand. There's many, many jobs that are needed in cybersecurity today. If anybody's listening to this and you're wondering, what should I become? Become a cybersecurity professional. It's got great job security, even in the days of AI and the disruption that's coming with that. Fast forward over 30 years, I got my CISSP, which is the standard security certification in cybersecurity back in 2001. I've been 25 years as a CISSP, just about. And I founded my own company, CyberHoot, which you see on my hat here, in 2014 to try to change the way cybersecurity approaches teaching these skills that we all need: how to use a password manager, how to spot phishing attacks, why multi-factor authentication is your best defense mechanism to account compromise, those sorts of things. We thought we could do it by using psychological theories of positive reinforcement, rewards, gamification, anything and everything we can think of at CyberHoot to get your employees to engage in the materials, engage in learning how phishing works, to teach you for a lifetime of secure email processing, personally and professionally. That's basically the background. We married psychology and cybersecurity and education all together in our learning management platform. That's how we ended up here today, Louise.
That's super important. Why was it so important for you to break the norm and make it so much more, interactive and get with the gamification, positive reinforcement, and really tying it back to psychology?
My entire life, I've loved to learn how people think. What makes them motivated? What makes them decide to do this but not that? What we learn, there's a lot of common sense here too, and I'll throw a couple of analogies in there for you, Louise. When you think about changing behaviors, which is what we need to do in cybersecurity, we need to stop people from clicking on links. The industry as a whole is very focused on punishment theory. If you study psychology and you research how punishment works, it's not really a deterrent. Incarcerating adults for mistakes they make isn't a deterrent to them making the mistakes. There's all kinds of crime. Our jails are full. It's not really working. What works is focusing and rewarding good behaviors that you want to see more of. Let's take dog training as an example. You could put a shock collar on a dog and put an invisible fence around your yard to help keep your dog at home. But we all know if there's a rabbit running down the street, that dog sees it. The dog makes a little calculation. The shock isn't that bad. I'm going to go get the rabbit. And off he goes. Unfortunately, employees are very similar in nature. You can punish them for clicking on links all you want. They're still going to click because they don't understand how to identify when they're under attack, why it's so important to learn how phishing works, and they're never taught the skills they need to change their own behaviors and to internalize it. All they're ever done is punished for clicking when they click. I just saw a Reddit thread 2 days ago, Louise, and it's had hundreds of comments. One employee says, I love my job, I love my company, but I'm about to be fired. And then they go in to describe that they've clicked on a number of fake email phishing tests that were sent to them in the first month of their employment at that company. They've made mistakes. And so there's a whole series of people commenting on the thread. Well, if you're clicking on links, you should be punished. You should be fired because the damage of a ransomware event is enormous. You could crush the whole company. They're not wrong. But where they're wrong is that that will change this person's behavior. Punishing them for something that doesn't teach them why and how, it just doesn't work. That's why we created something called Hootfish at CyberHoot. It takes a user through the sender and the subject and the greeting and the spelling, punctuation, and grammar, the urgency and emotionality that hackers embed in phishing attacks to get you to react without thinking, the links to external websites, and the attachments that could contain malware. All of those 7 things are pieces of the puzzle called phishing. When we finish our Hootfish exercise with every single employee at your company, you'll have created a crystal clear picture, no different than when you're doing a puzzle, of what phishing looks like. When you know that and you practice these Hootfish, you get muscle memory so that in your inbox, when something says urgent notification, you have to click here to set your password in Microsoft O365 or set up your MFA or whatever, and it looks like it came from your own company or it looks like it's from Microsoft, you know exactly what to do to validate that that's a legitimate request. That muscle memory prevents you from clicking on the links. The biggest problem, Louise, right now in these learning management systems is apathy and disengagement of the employees. People give up trying to learn this stuff because they've been punished one too many times. They get zapped with a shock collar approach and they say, you know what? I give up. I'm not going to try and learn when I can click and when I can't click. I'm just going to forward it all to IT or report it as fish or whatever the case is for their companies. You're not teaching the skills that people need to be productive and effective and secure. So by embedding rewards, gamification, certificates of completion, all these wonderful things to get people to do the Hootfish exercises, we get the engagement. I see companies regularly at 100% compliance. Every single person is doing every single Hootfish assignment, every single video, because they're engaged, because they're learning, because they give us 85% of the time on Hootfish a positive thumbs up after taking the phishing test. And 90% on our videos, they say, I like that video. It was short, 3 minutes. It told me exactly what I needed to know about USB stick security or Wi-Fi security or password hygiene security or whatever the topic is. They like the stuff we're doing because we're making it fun and entertaining and rewarding. That builds that cyber culture we all want within our companies. We want everybody to be towing the line. It's no longer an IT director problem to solve. It's not even a CFO's problem to solve or a CEO's problem to solve. It's everyone's problem to solve. Did you know today that the state of Minnesota, St. Paul, the city of St. Paul, has declared a state of emergency about 4 hours ago? They've called in the
My
National
God.
Guard and the FBI because the entire city's infrastructure is down. Why? Because they have a ransomware attack or they have some major breach, probably ransomware, probably encryption across the city's computing networks and systems, probably because someone clicked on a link they shouldn't. Any IT person out there listening to this, the answer is not to fire people for clicking on links. It's to reward them for learning how not to click and learning how phishing works and building resilience in your staff members and getting encouragement and engagement by making it fun and entertaining and rewarding them for that engagement. It's not to 3 strikes, you're out kind of rule. That just doesn't work. You need to get engagement and education through positive rewards. Take another example, parenting. Anybody with kids out there, if your child has a temper tantrum, do you yell and scold and punish them for the temper tantrum? If you did, do you think they would stop having temper tantrums? They're just going to repeat and have temper tantrum after temper tantrum. But if you take your child who's having a temper tantrum aside and you help them calm down, you talk about your feelings with them. Tell me your feelings. Why did you get so upset there? Your brother stole your toy and it's your toy. Oh, that would make me upset too. I get it. I would be upset. You're upset. Now, do you like being upset? No. Would you like to have a different outcome next time where you can talk to your brother and maybe you can share the toy? Maybe you get to play with it first and he can have it when you're done or something else. The point is if you talk and you teach them coping mechanisms and you build their better behaviors, next time they show just a tiny little bit of being in control in a difficult situation and you reward that behavior, what do you think happens in your child? They
There's gonna
become
be some
more in
change.
control. There's going to be change. They internalize, I can control my emotions better than I thought. I don't have to fly into a rage and smash the ground with my fists and feet. I can actually control the outcome. And that reward becomes internal. You no longer have to praise the child after a few times that they did such a good job of controlling it, because guess what? They controlled it on their own. It is internal to them now. Now, that same approach works in phishing. If you encourage and reward people with little rewards to do the hootfish exercises and walk through the 7 components of an email and learn how phishing works and spot phishing, and then reward them for being successful and passing the test, they internalize it. They go, oh, I don't have to send all these emails to IT anymore because I know effectively, authoritatively, this is an attack. Delete. I know that this one I can't tell enough, but I'm going to call the person on the other end and say, did you really send me this invoice? Because it's legitimately your email address. We've communicated before. You've never sent me an invoice before, but something doesn't feel right. Oh my God, don't click on it. I've been breached. I clicked on something and I lost access to my email, and some hacker is sending these to all the people I've ever emailed. I'm so glad you called. Okay, these are the things that you're going to get when you adopt positive reinforcement approaches to teaching people cyber literacy skills, whether it's phishing, password hygiene, password managers, adopting passkeys. It's amazing stuff what you can accomplish. Just as in parenting or dog training, you can change behaviors and let these individuals internalize the knowledge and be proud of what they can accomplish on their own.
I wanted to ask you, for all of the small, medium-sized business owners out there that think that they're not a target, what would you tell them?
Everyone's a target. Everyone's a target because they can extort money out of just about anyone. And there's more and more people getting into hacking because the world is a difficult place. Many parts of the world, there aren't opportunities like we have here in the United States to make a legitimate wage at a day job, 9 to 5. And people are suffering all over the world. They see one guy or one woman driving down the street in a fancy new car. How did you get that? Well, I can't tell you. It's a secret. They work with them, they build a trust and a friendship with that person, and they come to find out they're a hacker. They're extorting people all over the world for money. In places like Canada and the G7 countries, everyone that's disadvantaged in third world countries believes anyone in the first world can afford to lose $50,000 to an extortion account. But that would feed me and my family for a year. So more and more people are getting into hacking because it's very attractive, because it works. Last year alone, Louise, the 3rd largest economy in the world after the United States, $30 trillion, and China was the number 2 for their GDP, was cybercrime. The profits from criminal activities across the world was the 3rd largest economy in the world. Cyber crimes
That's
are
mind-blowing.
heavily, it is. How is it possible? All we hear about in the news about breaches, and there's a lot, we know about it, there's a lot, is the tip of the iceberg above the waterline. There is 10 times as many breaches, hundreds of times as many breaches that happen that aren't reported, that you don't hear about, that don't make the news, because people are embarrassed to report it. They don't want to lose the trust of their clients. They've already lost their money. Why add insult to injury and lose clients that might not use you if you talked about your breach? Everyone is being breached, from small businesses, moderate sized businesses, mid-enterprise, enterprise, they're all being breached. Now, you asked a very specific question. As an SMB business owner, am I more at risk or less at risk because I have less to lose? There's less money in my bank account for people to extort from me. Well, the reality is, when we do an analysis on breach data, that companies with 11 to 100 employees is the sweet spot for targeting. Why? Because they don't have anybody in charge of cybersecurity. They don't have deep budgets and pockets to spend money on the best firewalls and the best EDR or XDR or antivirus or any of the security tools, the SOC and the SIM tools that monitor for attacks. They have staff that might not even get cybersecurity awareness training and phish testing at all. They have
Exactly.
slim budgets, and they do have buckets of money in the bank or cyber insurance that will pay $50,000. Maybe not the big breaches we hear about, oh, $1 million was transferred or $10 million was lost in this Colonial Pipeline breach or the Target breach or that breach. But $50,000 is an enormous sum to a hacker in a difficult part of the world. By the way, that hacker could be down the street in St. Paul, Minnesota, attacking St. Paul, Minnesota. There's hackers everywhere. I'm not making it out that only third world countries have hackers. No, every country has hackers everywhere. We have to do a much better job of preparing ourselves and our staff and our companies from these attacks.
No doubt. And so at CyberHoot, can you share a little bit more about like what your role looks like as a CEO and a founder and how it fits into the bigger picture for the company?
Sure. I have 30 years experience, and 10 years ago I was fired from a big Fortune 500 company job. I was unceremoniously let go, and I did some soul searching and I said, Craig, you want to make the world a better place than when you got here. What can you do to make it a better place? After a long bit of soul searching, I talked to some old colleagues of mine from a previous job, and we all decided to found CyberHoot because we thought we could turn this negative approach to phishing and awareness training into a positive. We know from my psychological background it should work, and then we set out to prove it, and we've been largely doing so. My role on a day-to-day basis as CEO over at CyberHoot is to talk to other companies out there about partnering with us. We have a full API integration available where a third party providing service X, Y, or Z could add phish testing to their platform through the API and deliver a value-added service to their customers. Partnerships is a big part of my role. Financials, looking at our financials to say, can we invest in a SOC 2 Type 2 audit this year within our company as we look to win business in the mid-market and enterprises of the world? They have something called a third-party risk management approach to their relationships with vendors. They want to know if they work with CyberHoot, we're going to be there next week, next month, next year, and not be dead in the water from a ransomware event or from a lack of funding, or we can't prove that we're secure and we've lost their data. That would be terrible. One of the easiest ways their TPRM is satisfied is to say, give us your SOC 2 Type 2, and that's what we're going to do. We can afford to do it. I help drive that decision making. And then we have people on staff that execute on the vision. There's
So
so
help me
many other
understand a
things,
little bit more.
sales, marketing. Sure.
All the hats. When you say you're building strategic partnerships, is that with other cybersecurity firms so that they use CyberHoot's training when they provide services for their clients?
Yeah, it can be. So there's a company out there, and I think I can share this publicly, called Clip Training. They train companies on a variety of Microsoft and other COTS software platforms how to use it. And they said, well, we tried to do our own security awareness training. We maybe can do the video part, but we can't do the phishing because when you send attack phish, we have to have access to the spam filter and the MX tools, the records that are out there to punch holes in the infrastructure to deliver phishing emails. With CyberHoot, you don't do any of that. You don't have to bypass security to deliver a Hootfish exercise because it's not based on a fake email trick or a vendor impersonation. It's a simulation on a website managed by Clip Training that happens to have our front end through an API. We have another firm, Augment, that does O365 hardening, and they added a line item offering to their company services called Phish Training, Hootfish, and we can deliver Hootfish to their clients that way. It's another way for them to add tremendous value to their customer base. We do partnerships for integrations. We do partnerships that also take friction out of the infrastructure of delivering cyber literacy assignments to employees, whether it's through an MSP, an MSSP, or an IT department. We use AI for a lot of friction removal now, like video creation, email outreach, support. We have a chat bot on our website that you can get support 24/7 through now, and
Excellent.
it tells you exactly how to do things. AI is really a force multiplier. It's very amazing what it can do for your company. We've used some other AI tools around cold email outreach, but I think people's inboxes are just so full of junk so much of the time, it didn't work very well. Using LinkedIn, where there's reputation involved, where you can find the right person for the decision makers at a target or an ideal customer profile, that sounds very powerful. I love the idea of it. So there are risks.
No
You have
doubt.
to be careful with privileged data, sensitive data, putting it in public LLMs and things of that nature.
I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you leverage AI. Can you tell me a little bit more about your previous experience doing cold email and why it didn't work out for you?
We were using AI and we created campaigns to email out automatically to a target audience of people. We failed to book meetings. It just wasn't working. I don't know if the open rate was poor or the interest wasn't there, or we had the wrong ICP or the wrong content or context of our emails, but it was just not working very well. I'll be honest, where we get the most success is in social proofs. Our customers love to comment about us in multiple online forums. Reddit is a good example. Every day, there are
Yeah.
people complaining in Reddit about problems with fake email phishing or awareness training. Our customers, our MSPs who sell our product, they're happy to jump in and say, look at CyberHoot. Another really interesting one that'll blow your mind is ChatGPT recommends us now. There's something called AIO, Artificial Intelligence Search Optimization. People are going to AI and ChatGPT and Perplexity and all these different AI chatbots to ask for recommendations on different topics as much as they're going to Google now. When you ask ChatGPT, it spits out CyberHoot's name many times for positive reinforcement phishing, effective phishing training, rewards based phishing, awareness training, all those different things. We're seeing it in the meetings that are booked. Where'd you hear about us? ChatGPT. That's going to be very cool for us to keep moving the needle forward with AIO into Perplexity and these other chat engines that are out there.
As a CEO, I'm sure there's a million things on your plate, and some things are going really well, and some things you're like, wow, I really wish I could have additional help or additional resources to tackle this problem.
We just hired a firm to do a website redesign. Their company name is Xander, Xande, had a cobbled together website that had grown and been modified. We did our level best to make it beautiful and attractive for 10 years, but we finally said we need professionals to help us out with that. And Xander did a beautiful job of it. If you go to cyberhoot.com, you can see the results. It's just a gorgeous website. It's very professional looking. Sometimes we get hung up in our company. We're a small startup, we're scrappy, we're trying to do everything ourselves. We're getting a little bit better at knowing who should we ask to do this, not how can we do this ourselves.
I'm with you. It's like a very delicate balance on when do I need to outsource? Maybe I can just start outsourcing and leveraging automation and AI to remove the workload and get back my time.
You're absolutely right. It's a very important realization that we've gone through. We're still looking at it in other areas of our business around sales and marketing and lead generation and those things. We're still doing a majority of that ourselves. We might change that in the future. We might continue to do it. We're building the processes and the things that we know work well in our industry. And maybe we're going to hire someone that's maybe junior instead of a really expensive senior sales role to execute on the processes that we've built. The metrics that I watch are EBITDA. How profitable are we? What is our overall revenue going to be this year at the end of the year? What's the quarterly goal we've set to grow our revenue? What
Right.
projects can we implement that will move the needle on revenue growth, all while respecting our approach, which is a honorable, ethical, moral, let's make the world a better place and bring low-cost awareness training and phishing simulations that work, that change behaviors, that are 100% automated so that you don't have to hire anybody to support it. It just runs itself. All of that has to be front and center, and then we can get the revenue as people learn about us, as they hear about our capabilities. That's really been my focus.
That's incredible. So where are you at now in terms of revenue, and where do you want to be in 2 years?
Well, I can't share with you the amount of revenue. It's in the millions. In 2 to 3 years, we want to have a doubling or tripling of that with the hockey stick growth
Exactly.
that we're expecting. It's a $6 billion industry, so there's lots of room for growth. And with these breaches that we see every single day, we've got to do a better job. We've got to make things that are engaging, that people want to do, and then make it fun and entertaining and educational along the way. I think we really have the formula. Honestly, when we look at the industry, there's nobody doing positive reinforcement phishing simulations across the world, and everyone has to do it. We'll get that patent filed and approved, and then if someone with deep pockets like IBM wants to buy us, they have millions of patents on their books. They can defend the patent and take other companies to task if they're infringing on it. At the end of the day, we just want to move the world forward and the field of cybersecurity forward from a punishment negative to a positive and rewarding and behavior changing approach.
I believe 100% that that's the right path. I'm really happy and proud of you for the work that you've been doing. I interview cybersecurity CEOs every single day to see if I can make a connection somewhere within my network. For the people that are home, what message would you like them to take into their hearts after today's episode?
I think that there is a better way to protect yourself and your loved ones and your family members and your business and your employees. You don't have to punish people and fire people for clicking on links. You can reward them for learning how not to click, why it's important, how it works, and then they engage more, they learn more, and their behavior changes more. Now, to make this point really valuable to the people listening, we give CyberHoot away free for individuals. If you're an individual, even at a major company, and you want to learn cyber literacy a little bit better with positive rewards and experience the CyberHoot way, go to cyberhoot.com/individuals and sign up for our program. It's the identical program we send to Fortune 500 companies, mid-market, direct small businesses, MSPs and MSPs. It's the exact same thing, but you just get one person's view of it. You can't have everyone in your company sign up individually. The hope being
That
that if
is
you liked
so
it,
cool.
you would bring it to your company. We'll put it in the show notes. I'll send you a link to all the resources that we can share.
Absolutely. How can people find you the best, Craig? If somebody, is listening to this and they wanna try CyberHood or maybe, partner up with you, like how can they connect with you or find you?
The quickest way is to email sales@cyberhoot.com and request a demo or a discussion. You can even
Perfect.
visit cyberhoot.com and sign up for a free 30-day trial where we'll white glove onboard you into the platform, teach you how to use it, and make sure everything's set up the first time. It takes 20 to 30 minutes and you're done. Then it just runs itself. We tie into Entra ID or Google Workspace for user management. The reports are automated. The delivery of assignments is automated. The escalation to management is automated. We've tried to find and remove all the friction points. If you sign up for CyberHoot with the special discount code or how you heard about us, you put in Alter Aim Podcast, you'll get 20% off your first year of fees. That's a special discount that we created for your listeners, Luis. A special discount.
Well, there you have it, guys. Sales@cyberhood.com. Make sure to connect with Craig. Craig, thank you so much for being here today. I really love your work and I cannot wait to see what you accomplish. Thank you so much.
I love your work, and I think we might have to have a business conversation about leveraging your AI based LinkedIn outreach. That might help us get more meetings.